Welcome to the Mitcham History Notes YouTube channel. Today's video, in the Aerial Views series, we're going to look at Mitcham Common in 1952. On my website Mitcham History Notes, I have a web page called Aerial Photos. If we scroll down to where it says Upper Green or Fair Green, under the year 1952, let's have a look at the first one. Taken on the 23rd of October 1952. And I've listed it under Fair Green because it does include the Fair Green. But for today's video, we're going to have a look at the view of Mitcham Common. Well, I'm starting, not on the Common, but at Three Kings Pond, which you can clearly see here. And of note, this raised area is where the air raid shelter was. So in 1952 it still hadn't been demolished. I think it wasn't done until the 60s, early 60s. So that's Common Side West that way. On the right hand side you can see a bus there, and that's Common Side East. So I'll say Three Kings Peace isn't part of the Common. It was part of the Common, or administered by the Conservators, up until 1923, when that part, including Figs Marsh, Cranmer Green, and the Cricket Green, Low Green West, and the Upper Green, the Fair Green, were handed over to the local council to look after under the 1923 Mitcham Urban District Council Act. So from 1923, the Board of Conservators only concentrated on the main part of the Common. So here's the railway line that goes across it. To the left of our picture is the line that continues to what is now Mitcham Eastfields station, and to the right goes to Mitcham Junction station. So as I say, that's 1952, so that's the Beehive Bridge, which was rebuilt at the beginning of the Second World War, 1939, and widened to allow these buses, and that looks like a bus there, probably the 118, but it might have been another one. The 118 recently has been renumbered to 45, and this road that cuts across is Cedars Avenue. So Cedars Avenue here between Common Side East and Tamworth Lane has housing on it, but this part just goes across the Common. And the first thing to point out is that this pond was filled in after complaints from the occupants of the houses on Common Side East of mosquitoes during the summer months. And these polygons on the Common is where dumping was carried out after the Second World War, which led to the formation, by the way, of the Mitcham Common Preservation Society, which currently is called the Friends of the Common, Friends of Mitcham Common, of which I'm actively involved in. We can see absolutely no vegetation, well, no trees, no bushes on this plot of land here, but it is in fact quite overgrown now. Now, because this is an aerial view, we're seeing the features a bit quicker than if we looked at a vertical map looking down, but here is the Seven Islands Pond. And at this time, I would imagine there were discernibly 7 islands. Height of the water in the Seven Islands Pond has dropped over the years because of changes in drainage. Water that would have drained into the Seven Islands from surrounding areas is now diverted into drains where Pollard Hill was built and so forth. So 1952, this is pretty much just how the pond was from when it was first created. All the ponds on the Common were created as a result of gravel extraction during the Victorian building boom. And it's actually, as an aside, that's the reason why the 1891 Metropolitan Commons Act came into being, to preserve Mitcham Common as we have it today. There was so much gravel extraction going on that it raised local concerns, and Mr. George Parker Bidder, QC, was instrumental in obtaining a law, an Act of Parliament, to protect the Common. And if you think this is a trivial thing, I would ask you, where is Croydon Common? And the answer is, huh? Croydon Common doesn't exist. And I could also ask, where's Hackbridge Common? Well, there's a small green near the Red Lion pub. That's what's left of Hackbridge Common. These commons were not protected. Mitcham Common was, which is why we have it today. The road cutting across here is the Croydon Road. So that bit there is the Beddington Lane. And on this side is Windmill Road. And it can't be seen, but here is where the Windmill House was, which has been converted into a steak restaurant, and next to it is the ecology centre used by the conservators. And this is where Windmill Road now meets up with Commonside East, and this road here is Manor Road. And this trading estate is on a plot of land that was used for the Mitcham Workhouse well before the 1891 Act protected the common. After the workhouse had moved, various factories were built there, and this photograph in 1952 shows the trading estate as it was then, and today that's been replaced by housing. Blocks of flats called the Meadows or Talbot Close. Commonside East continues there, and around about over here is where Galpins Road is, and where this line occurs is basically the edge with Croydon. And that looks like where Beddington Lane tram stop is now. This would have been the train station. And I'll zoom out, and what we can see over here in the right hand corner of the picture, cooling towers of the Croydon power station. They were demolished in the late 70s, I think. The towers, I mean. The chimneys of the power station were kept, and when IKEA was built next to it, the IKEA symbol was put around the top of those chimneys. For the engineers amongst you who are watching this video, I find it amusing that the tram stop that is nearest to the Croydon power station is called Ampere Way, which is good, you know, that's ampere, current. But since it's a power station, shouldn't it be called what way? What way? Yes, sorry, poor joke. So there you have it. That's Mitcham Common in 1952 as seen from an aerial photograph. Thank you for watching. Please press that like button if you like this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. Bye for now.